We had a vision on people and not so much on how to structure and organize the company. And it's a little bit confusing if you start working in Picnic because you think, well, there's all sort of these teams, but how does it glue together? There's no place for fear, if you want. And it's okay to fail. We make mistakes every day, all of us together. Some mistakes are bigger than others, also fine, as long as we learn and we move on.
Would you say that how you started Picnic with your first initial principles that you maybe landed on together with the founding team, is that still something that governs Picnic to this day? Or is this something that
very much. You know, you can automate the hell out of whatever process, be it your customer service, your warehouse, your whatever. At the end of the day, there will be always a group of people who take care, who operate. The smile for the delivery at the door, the smile how we work together, the fact that we go for the extra mile.
The last mile.
Is the last mile, is also putting in all the effort that is required to basically get something done.
Today I'm joined by none other than Frederik Nieuwenhuys, one of the founders of Picnic, one of Europe's fastest growing scale-ups. Picnic is of course an online supermarket, so we'd like to know more about that. But first of all, we'd like to know a bit more about you. Maybe you can introduce yourself, how you got here today. And first of all, how are you doing, Frederik?
Yes, good morning, Laurens, and very pleased to be on your podcast. And I believe this is the first version, right?
This is the first episode, so very excited.
So my name is Frederik Nieuwenhuys. I am one of the co-founders of Picnic. And my history has a bit of the same roots as yours, as we both studied in Delft. I think I was there something like close to 20 years earlier than you, but let's forget about that. And after that, I worked a couple of years in strategy consulting, and then together with my partner Joris, with whom we founded Picnic, with others also, with Michiel and others, we started a business called Fredhopper, a software business. And after we sold that in 2010, that finally led to the start of Picnic, where we went live in 2015. And so I've only had three, let's say, employers in my life, in a way. It's very simple.
That's very nice. I've only had one, which is Magnet.me. I've actually never applied for a position myself, but which is interesting because we help people find jobs, of course. Could you tell us a bit more about what Fredhopper does or did?
And yes, Fredhopper actually paved the road for Picnic, and we stumbled into a project that was not yet a company, and yours and I joined that, and we built that into a company. And Fredhopper provided software for online retailers, be it pure play or store retailers or a lot of mail order at that time, to basically help search and navigate and merchandise big catalogs. And so this brought us into the world of e-commerce, a small company, let's say 80 people. We worked in 25 countries, very international. And after we sold that, we thought it'd be nice to also become some form of retailer, because we really enjoyed the business of our customers, and we were highly engaged with our customers. And so we started looking for opportunities in the field of online retail. So we looked at books, because there was still some bookstores that were for sale all the time, and other opportunities, even a mobile tire company, exchange service. So a business that changes at your doorstep your tires.
Your tires.
Yes.
Something totally different.
Totally different. So very happy we didn't engage in that one. And at some point, yours at the observation said, okay, listen, this non-food is already quite big online, but food's very small. Why is this? And so we said, okay, let's investigate for like a couple of weeks, couple of months. And that led to a period of 2 to 3 years in which we, step by step, let's say, prepared the plan for Picnic. And our observations were actually quite simple, because we saw that people were not, let's say, ordering groceries and food online a lot, because first of all, it was expensive, because you had to pay a delivery on top of your the prices for your goods. And so if you go to a supermarket and you need to pay €2 for parking, that is not good for the business of the supermarket. So parity pricing is one big important element. So we worked towards a model of free delivery. We also noticed that people didn't want to be at home to wait for their delivery all day long. And still today, in 2026, if you have some parcel delivery companies, they will send you a message, yes, we're going to be delivering to your home today, somewhere between 9 and 5. And we thought we had to keep it very short. So we opted for a model that had, let's say, a 1 hour order window that narrowed down into the 20 minutes that we send you, let's say, early morning when we arrive this afternoon or this evening. So highly predictable, not waiting, not understanding. And later on, of course, we put it in our app. We call it the delivery radar, so you can actually see the vehicle drive to your home. And so exactly, when our friendly runner knocks your door, he's there because there's a little ping in your app, and so you're ready to, with your returns, etc. The third thing we noticed is that ordering groceries was actually difficult because you order 30 to 40 items.
Yeah.
And if you order with Coolblue or Bol, you just order 1 or 2. And so we had to work on, let's say, the 3 or 5 minute shopping trip. And this has become very, very important across time. And we were in a way lucky because at that time it was fully the move from let's say, desktop to mobile. And so we decided to go for mobile only.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of focus in a very friendly and easy to use store shopping app to order these 30 to 40 items. And let's say step by step, that brought us to the launch of Picnic.
Yeah, what I find really interesting about the approach that you took, first of all, it's nice to have built such knowledge on retail in your first company and then saying, okay, I want to do it basically myself. I want to serve customers myself. I like that transition. And then if I'm correct, you were in stealth mode for quite a while, really taking the time to think through the business model because oftentimes you hear things about the launch fast, break things, then you learn, but your operation and your business perhaps doesn't suit that. And perhaps that's also not how you think about entrepreneurship and making stuff work. What's your perspective on that?
Yes, well, so we had some prior background, and it's interesting that prior background we have not used until much later because we were so busy discovering the field, the domain in which we had to go. So the mobile app development, a good store, getting a view to what is a good range, designing the last mile, designing the fulfillment operation, designing inbound operation, designing and building people operations, and hiring and all of that. And that has actually taken us years and years and years. And in a way, you could say also Picnic is a kind of a discovery, a group of people who are fond of doing discovery and learning and developing new things.
Yeah.
And this let's say this innovation still brings us forward every year. Every year is year one, and we have super ambitious plans, and we try to rethink everything we do. And we see it really unlocks new opportunity across the life cycle of where we are now after 10 years.
And would you say, because you've built 2 companies and as a strategy consultant, you've seen a lot as well, would you see that or say of yourself that you really are a builder, entrepreneur at heart? What is it that excites you about building companies?
Let's say I think primarily I'm a builder. Primarily I'm a builder. I'd love to dive into something, figure out how this works, the dynamics, the companies, the industry, and try then apply and use that in a business. And the entrepreneurial part of that is how you move from nothing to something, to a first version, and then try to scale it. And also working with loads of people from outside our business and gaining confidence and building an ecosystem and network of how to do this. Like we've done with you guys, like we've done in automation, like we've done in many, many fields.
Maybe we should set the stage a bit, because Picnic now is one of Europe's fastest growing companies, active in multiple countries, more than 20,000 people.
Yes, around 20,000. I think every 4 weeks there's about 20,000 people working for us. And some people only do 10 hours of work, and others do 40, etc. But the point is, it's a very large group.
It's a very, very large group. So you've really expanded something from that initial idea to something very big. We're at the Picnic office right now, so people might have already noticed, but it's very nice to be here. I can imagine that going live initially, could you imagine that you were here in 10 years on such a scale?
No. And I think we recently memorized that for, I think, one of our funding rounds in 2017. We pitched to investors that our business would be of a certain size in 23 or 24. And actually in 25, it was 2.5 times that size. And that number far down the road was already quite ambitious.
Yeah.
So it has grown immensely, of course.
Yeah, that's super spectacular.
Yes, and in a way, our long preparation has helped us a lot, certainly in the early days.
Yeah.
But it's also fair to say that along the road, you learn so many things that you continuously develop, let's say, new perspectives.
Yeah, and
so many of your initial assumptions might be wrong, but still, because you've prepared into it, you're able to move and to pivot into the slightly different approaches, etc.
Yeah, so high over, I think, with the thorough approach that you took, you anticipated where trouble might be. You went for an initial solution, and then you understood at some point, maybe this isn't the wrong one, but it's not something that brought doubt for the entire thing, right?
So we thought we started by being, we kicked off Picnic with the ambition of being an online supermarket.
Yeah.
And we developed a very smart, cost-efficient, innovative, friendly last mile model, the delivery service.
Yeah.
And our initial range was relatively basic and simple. It was like 3,000 SKUs. We're now more than 4 times.
Maybe for the listener, what is an SKU?
An SKU is an article you sell.
Yeah.
The banana.
Yeah.
And you might have, I think we sell 3 or 4 types of bananas because we have the Chiquita bananas, the non-branded bananas, the kids bananas, and maybe the bio bananas. So at least 4.
Yeah. That also makes it a lot more complex, of course.
Yes.
And would you say that how you started Picnic with your first initial principles that you maybe landed on together with the finding team, is that still something that governs Picnic to this day, or is this something that
very much? I think we started off with this huge, let's say, can-do mindset.
Yeah.
We hired talent over experience.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any people who had done this previously.
Yeah.
Still in our supply chain organization, which is 15,000 plus people.
Yeah.
There's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people who've actually had a long prior career in this field. Nobody else. So we have learned everything from the ground up.
Yeah.
And basically, this also, I think, reflects the mindset of the founders.
Yeah.
All the founders to basically dive in, understand, develop, work together with everybody to make it happen. And I think this mindset, even in our scale today, is still governing everything we do.
Yeah, but I find fascinating on that front because we've been working together with you guys for a couple of years as well, and I know a bunch of people that work here, and that is that their backgrounds are oftentimes not really related to the work they do on a daily basis. So I think one of our Willem Joost, shout out to Willem Joost, one of our contacts, I think he has a background in investment banking or corporate finance, and he now leads recruitment for the HQ.
Yeah,
and this really aligns with your perspective.
Yes.
Could you
it means in the early days. As I said, we hired, let's say, talent over experience. We hired a lot of people from Delft and let's say with let's say science engineering based backgrounds. But later on that has clearly expanded because you also need commercial people to buy, to source apples in a proper way and negotiate.
Yeah.
And so you need a broad range of skills across your entire business, up to the UX design that we do in-house, etc.
Yeah.
And this is really a mindset of putting a couple of young people together.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 have a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
And trying to tackle a challenge, an issue, a problem. And think of solutions and then try and make that happen. And the key elements is the people, their mindset, their talent, and also technology. Because we have had from day one, we've developed most of the tech, let's say, ourselves. We've been incredibly, let's say, a DIY business. I always say to people, we've built Picnic fully ourselves. Everything you see is made by us, by our own hands, by our own mind.
Yeah.
And this is how we put it together. And of course, this makes us, as a group, also incredibly proud about what, if you see now, we have 5,000 vehicles, something like that, that drive across 3 countries. And they've become part of the daily, view in a city.
Yeah, because maybe for the listener who hasn't seen your cars driving around in the Netherlands, from outside, maybe the Netherlands and Germany, France, and Belgium, I think that's where you're at.
Not the Netherlands, Germany, And France.
And France, yeah.
And other countries are surely to come.
Okay, exciting. Because these aren't your average cars, right? It's something that you've also designed together with a partner.
Yes, with a partner. So
yeah.
we were thinking about last mile delivery. We
Yeah.
were highly inspired by the former milkman
Yeah.
in the Netherlands, the SRV-man. He used to have a big car with the entire stock and store in the car.
Yeah.
But also in the UK in the 70s, there were a fleet of 7,000 electric small vehicles who quite resemble our small vehicles already in the 70s.
Wow.
Doing dairy delivery. So fresh milk, yogurts,
Yeah.
maybe a bit of cheese, etc. Only dairy. And this kind of inspired us. And we bumped into our small vehicle that was actually designed and used for very different purposes, specifically in Southern Europe, in old cities that have little space, to basically help, clean the city and clean the park.
Yeah.
And it really helped us because this cute, and first our view to the vehicle is more functional. Can it do it? Can the battery do so and so? Is the payload enough? All of those, let's say, practical topics. And we learned over time that it could basically fit the parking spot of a normal car. So we bring a lot of volume and kilos to the door.
Yeah.
So it was kind of practical that we could park close by the delivery point, your front door or the entry of the flat. We also developed a box where you could actually access the groceries from the side. There's no need to open a door in the back and climb in. And so from day one, we said, we're not going to go do the payment transaction on the door. And so we were able to slash the stop times, the delivery times, by something like 60%. And not just Albert Heijn and Jumbo, but also Tesco and anybody else.
Yeah.
And that gave us confidence that this last mile model was really working early on. And we could see it after 2 months.
That's exciting. Because maybe that's also nice to for the listeners. If you would summarize what Picnic does in a sense, because we're talking about a lot of processes behind the scenes.
Yeah. So
for customers, what is Picnic?
Yes, I said we started off as an online supermarket, as an online grocery delivery service. I think today you could say we are a super friendly food delivery service that is focused on all your daily and weekly needs.
Yeah.
And that is so way beyond what you can get in the supermarket. So our service is clearly evolving to something, to a proposition where we help consumers, especially families with kids, busy lives, have little time, to get all the things they need every week in their house. And that starts with dinner.
Yeah.
If we're able to convince our customers to serve them with dinner, to put the dinner ingredients, including all the fresh ingredients, meat and veggies, etc., on their kitchen top, then we've learned that everything else follows after that.
Yeah.
So breakfast and lunch and household articles and cleaning articles and detergents, all of that follows after that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity for us on let's say this dinner proposition to sell a lot more things. With all of these elements of our proposition, it's very easy to make a fantastic long wish list of stuff you want to do for your customers, but you also need to make it happen and be able to deliver it to them. And so we have an extensive supply chain nowadays. We have our own fruit and veg DC, where we get the bananas and overseas directly.
Distribution center?
Directly, yes. Distribution center directly, from the boat in Rotterdam, from Central America, up to fulfillment centers, up to last mile, up to our own in-house, let's say, customer service, and many things around that. And so our challenge always is to find the yin and yang of the consumer proposition, and also making that happen in an elegant and effective way.
Yeah.
And this keeps us busy every day.
I can imagine. And you mentioned also building a lot of stuff in-house. Could you maybe elaborate a bit on that? Why was this the right choice for Picnic? Of course, you also outsource some stuff.
Yes. So I think this DIY build mindset basically, let's say, this DIY build mindset basically stimulated us to do it fully in-house. So we started saying to ourselves, let's do this ourselves, let's do that ourselves. And so we started developing all the key software components in-house. Initially, we had to buy some outside because you need to get started.
Yeah.
And I think later on, we also gave it some more rationale.
Yeah.
And the rationale for me is still the case that if you need, for example, a system for warehouse operations, for distribution centers to control that, if you look at that software market, is it large? It's fairly large, yes. Are the needs of in the industry, the needs of different companies in this field, are they homogeneous or are they highly varied? In this case, they're highly varied. We operate 3 temperature zones, ambient, chilled, and frozen. Many people don't. And so if the market for this is not so big, if the needs are very diverse, then it makes sense at some point, I feel, to develop that piece of software in-house. So I can really tune it to our use case, what we need. So it really fits like a glove today.
Yeah.
It allows us to iterate and improve. We have highly complex, large-scale automated warehouses that have very, very sophisticated control mechanisms and logic. And that is something step by step. Every week we do releases, we make ourselves.
Yeah.
If you go to, let's say, customer service, if you look, is the customer service market a big market? Yes, because many companies have customer service. Are the needs of these companies, do they have a lot of overlap? Yes, they have a lot of overlap. So in this case, it makes sense to basically, buy something from the market.
Yeah.
In this particular case, the needs are so overlapping that, for example, Salesforce is a worldwide dominating force in this industry, and they're almost, let's say, monopolist. So if you negotiate your contract, you need to fight hard to get a decent price.
Yeah.
So this is a bit how we look to, let's say, make or buy. But fundamentally, I think we have 25 to 30 software products that we develop and maintain, including the entire data infrastructure. And this is all operated from an extensive cloud environment that we also need to manage.
Yeah, and maybe that also brings us to, you mentioned automation already, AI, one of the biggest topics at the moment. I can imagine this is also something that is a big thing for Picnic. Can you maybe share your vision on the topic, how you use it?
First, I'm not the AI expert. So in all honesty, I gave our CTO Daniel a call this morning, and we've done many things together here. And basically, AI starts, let's say, with good data, proper data. So from day one, we made a very strong data warehouse, in which we put a lot of discipline. And so it means that from all processes, it is in a data warehouse, and I can connect anything. I can connect the customer service process to, let's say, the backend picking process in the fulfillment center if I need to. And this really has helped us to build a strong data infrastructure. That data infrastructure, the data inside there had to grow. It required volume.
Yeah.
It required variety, not just all the same data points, and it required velocity. So, new fresh data every day, every week. And once we had that in, let's say, I think 2018 or so, we started playing around with all sorts of machine learning, deep learning models. And one of the first big implementations was around forecasting. So time series forecasting, how many orders will we sell tomorrow for shift 3 in Drachten?
Yeah.
How is that order is going to be composed? How many items are in that order? From the apples in that order, what is the fraction of apples in that order for every single article? So we started working on predicting that. We used so-called TFT models, transformer models. And transformer models have later foundation for the LLM models. And so we started also predicting drop times, the stop times for our runners. So, how experienced is the runner? How large and heavy is the order? Where does it sit in the vehicle? What is the stop time for an earlier delivery or deliveries in the neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera. We also learned a lot because you move from deterministic, let's say regression-like, to non-deterministic. And we had a stop time model in place, and we kind of forgot we didn't keep an eye to the other model. And so at some point, the drop time started diverging and moving very slowly, and nobody kind of saw it. and then we were off.
Nice.
So one of the big learnings was, if you have a non-deterministic model, I always love a deterministic model, so we can still understand what is going on. Because one of the AI things is it's hard.
It's
machine learning is hard to understand.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so we developed some 20 applications, machine learning based. And then over the last couple of years, we started putting our toes in the water on let's say the modern AI stack with the development of the LLMs, of course.
And is that also something that you've trained LLMs in house? Is that something that you purchase from the large providers? Or
we buy, let's say, the base models. We don't buy domain models, if you want.
No.
So we have Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT, etc. We've played around with all the different versions, and we build everything around it ourselves, the guardrails, and so. Nowadays, also tuning the models is actually a job that can also be done by a non-tech person. So we call it an analyst with maybe an engineering background who's learned Python in school, etc. And I was just talking to a team member yesterday, end of day, and he's working on tuning a vision model that is making pictures on the conveyor belts of all the stock totes where our stock sits. And so based on those pictures, we are deriving, is the right article in that tote? How many articles are in that tote? Is the article broken? Is there still packaging left, like carton? How is the orientation of the product? And so this is a young guy. He recently joined us from university, and he's kind of putting his teeth in this huge,
it's
challenging problem. And so, given that we have this infrastructure ourselves, many people can actually engage to it, and I find it super fascinating about what it will bring.
And maybe to build on that, do you have like an initiative or to bring up AI literacy in the company, or is it something that you expect from people themselves?
The answer is, I think, always not enough. Not enough. So there's with all of these kind of the engineering mindset that many people have. There's of course a lot of personal adoption of AI.
Yeah.
Clearly, like many of us.
Yeah.
By now, we also have machine learning AI product owners specifically for the consumer domain, or for the supply chain domain, or for the service domain, etc. And so that helps us to bring it together. And so we're still also in a phase of discovering. There's also the productivity side, your individual productivity, team productivity. So clearly in legal, our teams use it a lot to
content creation,
draft contracts, etc.
Yeah.
There's also a nice anecdote, I think, from our French team. There's a small team, and we moved to a new supplier, and so we had to collect the new range and all of the product data. And as they had a small team and they had a huge piece of work to do in a short period, they basically developed something, very simple themselves, which actually enabled them to do a lot faster. So scarcity is also a big source of creativity, of course. I think that is nice to see.
I think it's nice, and I think this maybe ties into what we touched on earlier, is that you need the right people who are naturally inclined to look for new technologies and to try for the best ways to solve solutions. And what I find interesting or fascinating in thinking about this conversation in advance is that you have an HQ where you have maybe top of the bill talent, where you really focus on top talent, and then you also have a humongous operation with shoppers and runners. Maybe you can explain these concepts, where you employ thousands and thousands of people that are also vital to the organization, that really are the face of the company in a sense, that also need belonging. How do you manage the two? Do you ensure that it's one culture?
Yes.
What's your? Yes. How does it work in practice?
Yes,
and what's your vision?
It's a very good point, and it's not. So we try to do a lot of work to keep everybody together.
Yeah.
And there's certain forms of solidarity. So this morning at 4 a.m. in our huge fulfillment center in Utrecht, there's, 100 or 120 people that start their shift.
Yeah.
And so they wake up at 3 and they take their buses going there, etc. They wake up at 3 and they go to work at 4. And so I think it's important for everybody in Picnic to realize that there's thousands of people out in the field every day, either in warehousing or in last mile, that deliver service to our customers. So we, as a central team, also need to get up early in a way and show up to the office and not work all from home, for example.
Yeah.
It's not so easy to define a set of values that is entirely common. And last year we came up with a phrase and we call it "We go the extra smile."
I like that. Yeah.
And the smile for the delivery at the door, the smile how we work together.
Yeah.
The fact that we go for the extra mile.
The last mile.
Is the last mile is also putting in all the effort that is required to basically get something done.
Yeah, and that unifies basically.
And that unifies us.
Yeah,
And I think that spirit, I think, is very much still in Picnic, also after 10 years, even if we're a larger company. Now, also, we operate from 200 locations, fulfillment centers, last mile hubs, the north, the south, the west, the east of Germany, in France, in the north, everywhere around Paris, in the banlieue, and then of course everywhere in the Netherlands. So we have also very different people who are in last mile and in operations from 100 plus nationalities, and we need to make sure we bring that together. And there's always a sense of, okay, let's do it together, friendliness, comradeship, to basically make something happen. And I think that mindset is so crucial to retain for us. Our fulfillment centers that are automated, let's say, have turned into real factories, but it doesn't mean that the way we work together in those factories is like a factory.
Yeah.
And that is something we need to give thought a lot.
Yeah, because how would you explain to people that might consider working at Picnic what it brings to them? How would you summarize that?
Well, I think, when I graduated from university, there were no kind of startups, very few startups, and also not at scale. So if you wanted to get some form of training, I went to consulting. They gave me, I worked a couple of years. I got fantastic training. I'm very still grateful for that. Or you'd go to Unilever or Shell and do a traineeship. So you get training at young age. I think today in Picnic, as you look as a company, we are actually, we provide the training. We have everything and more in-house. And what we do, I think more than anybody else, you get responsibility at young age. So if you do well, you get responsibility in terms of the domain you cover or the groups of people you lead. And I think that is what makes, working in Picnic very, very different from working in other companies. And if you talk to our teams, and you know many people that work with us, you surely sense this.
Yeah, definitely. And what I also like is that combination of training and responsibility. What you sometimes see, for instance, with traineeship is that it's mainly training for 2 years. And then afterwards, you really start operating, and then you discover that it's not so easy as it was in.
So another anecdote. I was always, let's say, so positive on traineeships, as I thought it was a lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
And we also had to develop recruiting campaigns also for our operations leadership. And there was a recruiter, Nikki, and she said, okay, no, we need to do a traineeship, Frederik. It's because this will attract people. Yeah. And so we developed the fast track to leadership traineeship in Picnic for operations, something like that. Yeah. And I was a bit worried, will this work, etc. And it's been a huge success. So thanks to Nikki. And so we have attracted by now hundreds of people in this traineeship, and we've developed also a form of a traineeship where people go around and they get to see many things, where they do little projects, but we also put them at real responsibility as soon as we can. After 6 or 8 weeks, you have a responsibility, and it's important you take that responsibility, because otherwise there's a problem. And so we've made it our own. We've gave it our own flavor, and from this traineeship, we also have fantastic young leaders who are now maybe 30 or 35 and have been with us 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And they operate in roles and responsibilities with a maturity that is only seen in other companies with people who are at least 10 years older or so.
Yeah.
And so this form of, let's say, training and working together has really developed, or has given us this.
Yeah, that and you mentioned also that when you were designing the company, if you will, you already had a very big vision on talent from the get-go. You already mentioned some stuff about that.
We had a vision on people and talent, etc., and not so much on how to structure and organize the company.
Yeah.
And up to today, we have never made a real org chart. And this is a little bit confusing if you start working in Picnic, because you think, well, there's all sort of these teams, but how does it glue together? And the glue is our culture, I think, most of it. And so we are extremely flat business. And of course, you need in operations, you need command and control. So you know what to do. Huh? We have had many operational incidents, and so we also developed software tooling for this operational incidents. We call it Mr. Murphy. So Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I can tell you it's true. And so we made this Mr. Murphy application, which is centered around Slack, which now also, by the way, has an LLM, an AI side to it, because it can basically collect all the required data that is relevant for that incident from across our data infrastructure. Anyway, on a side note.
Yeah.
And so that has really helped us, to also work together here. And over Mr. Murphy, we are able to let's say, to get together 2, 5, 10, or 100 people from all different domains if we require that. And I think it would not be feasible if too much of our organization is dependent on, let's say, strict hierarchy and command and control.
So are you then organized more around problems and challenges?
So we have teams, and team leads, but it's very flat. So there's there's very thin, let's say, management layer. We don't have managers. There's no job title. The best we have is you can be a lead of something, lead of something small or lead of something big. You're still a lead, and this enables us to basically today, if I need or if we want to, we can collect a number of people from some different teams, and we say this is a new team now. It's a team of teams, and this team is trying to will try to address this kind of challenge. And you will spend maybe I don't know, half of your time of it. It usually means that of course your workload might go from 100 to a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then you need to be creative and efficient, etc. And I think that mindset is still alive and kicking everywhere across Picnic.
Yeah, and that also means that you need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. If you work here, you need to work hard from time to time.
Yes, and you also there's no place for fear if you want.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fail. We make mistakes every day, all of us together. It's okay to make mistakes. Some mistakes are bigger than others, also fine, as long as we learn and we move on.
Yeah.
And so I think this let's say a little bit fearless attitude has brought us a lot.
Yeah, and then there's also no room for ego if you don't have job titles.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a nice. It's really a very unique mix.
Yes,
that you.
And sometimes people ask, what do I put on my LinkedIn page? And say, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
something I put Groente Boer.
Yeah, you don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah, and in order to attract this talent, you had to have a plan in place, or what was employer branding or communication to talent?
So all highly organic, iterative from the get-go, and from the start, we leveraged our Delft networks a lot. Of course, we also hired many people in France and in Germany, etc. And by now, of course, with our size, we've put together quite some employer branding, as you know.
Yeah.
And also specifically for runners and shoppers. Runners are the boys and girls that do our delivery. They're not always boys and girls, but some people are also my age. And shoppers and related are the people who work in our warehouses. And so we have put together our own recruiting campaigns. So I'm very proud that if we need 4 extra runners in 4 days in the northeast of Berlin or Bremen or Hamburg or wherever, we can actually put out a campaign. We can activate our performance marketing specifically for those couple of square kilometers.
Yeah.
Then, we monitor the inflow, and I don't know, if we have 12 applications or so, we can actually make sure that those 12 people have a call with our recruiting team the same day that they apply.
Yeah.
And then 1 or 2 days afterwards, they come to a recruiting event at our location at the Hub Fulfillment Center. And the day afterwards, we have the contract signed, sealed, and delivered, and they get to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that, that capability is an enormous capability that is super important for us to grow the business, because we employ many people. And in some areas and markets, the Netherlands as a whole, or some areas in Germany, labor is quite scarce.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to attract and retain people. And as always, you're never done. And there's so many things we can still do and learn and improve.
One of the things that I observed around Picnic, as you mentioned, I know quite some people from Delft as well that work here.
Yeah.
Would you say that having that strong of an employer brand, where people know that Picnic is not only an online supermarket, but it's also a great place to work, where you can develop, I won't repeat everything that you mentioned yourself, but would you think that's one of your biggest competitive advantages, having that relationship, if you will, with future employees?
Yes, I think it's a consequence of what we've done and developed, in a way, and we have a development team of close to 400 people from 50 different countries that we also have recruited all over the world, where we have hired people remotely that have basically packed their suitcase and come to Amsterdam, and we help them find an apartment and everything and get them going. They make a lot of friends in Picnic, so their social life also largely is around Picnic. And so for that group of people, we also need to have, let's say, this employer branding, this story about what it means to work with Picnic and what you can do and develop, etc. And it is quite different from people who work in operations leadership, maybe in Hamburg or so.
Yeah, you need a conscious approach to storytelling, if you will, to people that might consider working here.
Yeah, but you can clearly see that there's a strong DNA about who we are, how we operate, how we work together across all of those domains.
And is that also something that you would recommend to other people starting a company, for instance, or building teams, is that you need to be very conscious about telling that story, not only building the company and what people you need, but also telling that story for early on?
Yes, so you can automate the hell out of whatever process, be it your customer service, your warehouse, your whatever. But at the end of the day, there will be always a group of people who take care, who operate it. And having the right group of people that are up to the job, that are motivated to the job, that have the skills, is so crucial. And so we have also made many hiring mistakes. Hundreds at least. And so if you discover that you've made a hiring mistake, the best solution is to stop.
Yeah.
And then you might, for the short term, you have even maybe a bigger problem, because there's nobody available to take care of something, and you have a big gap. But then, you will become creative in your scarcity and think of a solution, or push the hiring process for somebody else even more, or do it yourself and just go around LinkedIn and find solutions.
Yeah.
So we are more and more, because we're also so large now, conscious that we need to be super focused on this part.
So it's basically a very conscious and deliberate and also thorough approach to when it comes to letting people in. And then if it doesn't work, this is also something that you acknowledge quickly instead of, letting it go and run.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you need to rethink your teams.
Yeah.
So it maybe for a certain part of the business, we had 15 people.
Yeah.
Do we still need those 15 people today? Or, with AI and productivity gains or automation or other, we need to make sure that the group of people who then takes care of that part is basically fit not too small, not too large, etc. So we need to be conscious.
Yeah, I also...
And given that our company is a growing company, we still have lots of opportunity always for everybody. But we need to do right sizing of the teams.
Yeah, and also I've experienced myself in scaling a company. From time to time, you notice that you need a different kind of team over a different kind of setup, and then you need to move fast in order to get to the results fast. So that's something I can...
Maybe another anecdote. We've hired many people with, let's say, long-standing experience from great companies that have joined Picnic, 20 years experience, and it has rarely worked out. There's a few exceptions, maybe 10 or so.
Wow.
And so we have stayed committed to growing the teams from the inside, and it means now after 10 years in business, we have a fantastic group of almost, I don't know, I'm sure 100 people that have been with us many years, that are great talents, and that take big responsibility. And that is amazing to see.
That's really amazing. That's super cool. Yeah. So talking about employment, one of the things that is really a hot topic at Picnic right now is youth employment. Something that compared to competitors is really a thing that you do differently. What's your perspective on that? And also when it comes to Dutch law on the topic?
Yes. So as we have developed, we have learned step by step that we operate in a certain context as a company. And we learned about that context, and we sometimes we go against it. So we operate in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands we have CLA's, collective labor agreements, or CAO's. And CAO's have been there for a long time, and have also been an instrument for existing markets to basically push away new entrants, because the CAO's are dominated by the market-leading companies. So whether it's in bakery or cleaning or... let me give you an example. In gas stations, there used to be a collective labor agreement for the metal CAO. So people, because a gas station used to be part of a garage. So the wages and everything was actually tuned to people working in more or less industrial environments. Nowadays, a gas station is not about that. It is about coffee and sandwiches.
It's more retail.
So you need a very different kind of labor view to that than your traditional view. And this is the same, if you want, in the supermarket business. So we have agitated against this supermarket CLA and said, no, we should not be part of it, because, we have very different processes. And part of that is that, for example, we cannot employ kids. 70% of the work in a supermarket, in a store, is done by children.
Yeah.
And this youth wage has been installed in the 80s when we had the economic crisis, to basically enable companies to hire young people at very low wages. Now, if I am 18 today and I live in Heerlen and I work in some business and I make the minimum wage, I earn the minimum wage, my salary, your salary of that 18-year-old is half of this of your peer, your German peer, who's also 18, who's also working in the same kind of business, because he gets double the wage, because you make 50% of minimum wage at age 18, which is €7 and a bit, etc. And we think this is an unfair advantage in a way for supermarkets.
Yeah.
And we think it's also something, let's say, from the past. It's clear that supermarket have built their business model around it. We cannot employ kids because our warehouses are outside the city and you start at 4 a.m, or you need a driver's license to do delivery. And so it's all about, let's say, level playing field in certain markets for companies. We sell Coca-Cola and yogurt and everything else. And so there's actually many other places where I can get a can of Coke at the gas station, and Bol will also sell, a lot of baby product, right?
Yeah.
And are they supermarket? I don't know, probably not.
Yeah, definitely.
It depends how you look to it.
Yeah. Right. So I think it's time to go to a wrap up. Is there anything that you would like to share in closing as your biggest lesson or tip to listeners that are building companies or teams, can be business, tech, or on the people front?
Well, first of all, I'm excited about your new plans as Magnet.me and let's say the pivot and shift to employer branding. And I think in Picnic we process hundreds of thousands of applications per year. And when somebody applies and it doesn't work out, you basically, that opportunity is lost with that person.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's great that you step into this gap and try find solutions for how you can somehow keep in touch with somebody and what it takes. And so congratulations on that. And I'm very excited to see how this will develop.
Yeah.
Magnet.me. I think on building a company, I think the key thing is to be in it for the long run, to not be afraid to commit yourself for many years. If your horizon is long, you also have a bit of time. You don't need to make it overnight a success, and things, let's say, take time. And in that journey, it is around the mindset you keep. So we talked about this day one, year one mindset. I think that is still very much alive in Picnic, and which I love.
Yeah, I think that's really inspiring. It's also something that I can relate to as having built Magnet.me for the past 12 years now already. So I think that's a great way to close, a clear moment to close it. So thank you so much, Frederik, for the talk. It was really inspiring. And for the listeners back home or wherever you're listening, in the car, or if you're viewing it on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, Frederik. Definitely something that we appreciate. And you can follow us on your favorite podcast apps. So this was really my presenter mode to close it off.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.